Yaslan zo ijet. Det jet yulaichish.
Well, hello there. Good evening, everybody. JonesCat79 here, along with my usual co-host, Derica, aka Dark Neon.
Good evening, everyone.
Yes. This is, we're now here at our final stop on the hunting party that we've been starting ever since the build-up to the movie that we'll be talking about tonight, Predator Badlands. And I think what's funny is that, again, I still am amazed that she was really for this, given how successful our Alien one was. And then the Jurassic World Rebirth was such fun. So when we said let's do this again for Predator, it's just it's good to finally just be here at this point because it really has to feel like it's been a long journey to its highs and lows.
Especially on the lows, which turns
But
out the goalpost kind of shifted from one aspect to the different one.
yeah, like I said, I think if you were to redo that horror list, I think you'd still put Requiem pretty low, but I think you'd say probably the most offensive horror sequel to you nowadays would probably be The Predator due to how it fumbled the ball in so many aspects, trying to expand the lore, make endearing characters, make the Predators interesting, but also make the most boring antagonist ever with the Ultimate Predator and so on and so forth. But we already talked to death about that one.
I think Ricky would still be like high of the list
Mm-hmm.
because at least AVP Ricky was trying to act as an actual horror movie, whereas the Predator is just trying to do like a sci-fi action movie.
Okay, so
Much like its other predecessors.
whereas Requiem really just had the most bland human cast that you couldn't wait to see get chopped up if you could actually see it.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, so here we are. And before we bury the lead over here, I'm just gonna say it right now. If you have any interest, any curiosity, in anything, see this movie. It's doing well right now, but getting confident is the type of things that led to things not getting greenlit and us going, oh. So I'm just saying you right now. I'm going to say right now. We're going to talk about spoilers tonight. If you haven't seen it, please go see it. Come back to this review later, but go see Badlands. That's my one of the few times I'll say this right now. I didn't even do this for like Tron, even though you guys really should have seen Tron too. But I'm just saying right now, see it. I think you and I can both attest to that.
Yeah, especially. I mean, to be fair, this is like already one weekend in, and it's already doing pretty good.
Mm-hmm. So
Which is certainly more than we could say for Tron, which
that one
uh,
hurts.
I, that stings so much, so badly. It's whatever. I guess fine. I guess I could wait for another. What's another 30 years to this Tron fan? I guess.
Well, hell, maybe you'll
But
actually have a light up cosplay and a nice chest to go along with it to really emulate Korra by then. Okay. Anyway,
yeah, maybe.
so here we are, where we've already had up to 6 movies watching these guys cut up men into meet their ends due to their own hubris and arrogance, and be the most unpleasant sons of bitches, probably second only to the long-headed xenomorphs that they hunt. So you figured 7 movies in, gosh, it's got to be dry by now, right? Well, every now and then you run into a shakeup where you have to wonder and stop. What is going on behind that mask? Now, ask anybody. If you try to over explain something mysterious, sometimes you run the risk of coming up with really stupid answers. I look at, all due respect, Rob Zombie attempting to explain Michael Myers and why he was the way he is in his uh, valiant effort, but it really got bogged down by uh, misunderstandings of the original Carpenter themes, and also just uh, you tried to make. I mean, it's very hard to make Michael likable unless you got to make his cast super unlikable to even root. I mean, I think that's why people like Jason Lives, because It's just him doing what he does best with a bit of a comical twist. But I'm saying it's very hard when you want to try to get behind the shoes of what is it that is usually menacing our heroes.
But there are some rare times where that can actually work. For example, just sticking with the horror franchises, we do have um, in Saw X where we shifted focus to John Kramer, who got stinged and swindled by some con artists that were taking advantage of his desperate cancer treatment, and he decided, okay, assholes, I'll play your game. No, let's play my game instead.
And that is one time where you could say, while you do not want to see these people fail the test, they kind of have it coming. And Tobin Bell's performance really does get you behind Jigsaw. And obviously, don't forget, they did say one of their biggest regrets looking back, they thought Saw 3 was going to be the last one. Let's go ahead and even kill our big bad. And when they made more of them, they're going, oh shit, we already killed off our most interesting guy. So we'll give it to his sleazy apprentice who screwed the other apprentice, which still pisses her off to this day every time she sees how bad. And Amanda even appears in Saw X, so when you keep seeing that, oh, they walk off and they say, I know where this is gonna go. It's like, ugh, Hoffman.
But not only that, but like having an antagonistic role being in seemingly kind of a protagonistic uh, limelight role has been done since as far. Well, I'm sure it's done farther back, but certainly in 1992, where we had Schwarzenegger, the fake scary T-800, now becomes protector for our future. But of course, that was like a circumstance of like things out of his control. He literally got rewired to do the job. So
But still,
it was basically a blank template, but he was still able to know how to handle uh, being a Terminator. And speaking of, I'm honestly curious about how the Terminator 2D No Fate was gonna work out. Definitely gonna see a lot of Let's Players gonna try to do more aggressive playthroughs. I'm sure.
but yeah, because that's actually a big influence on Dan was the fact that you did take something as menacing, as terrifying as a Terminator. Because let's face it, the Terminator in Terminator 1 is indeed a relentless, scary force. He's like on the same level of a Jason or a Michael. And when you see it come back in T2, you're first, unless you saw the previews which told you this time he's back for the good side, the way they play it in the movie straight, you think, yep, he's doing his terminating mission, he's hurting people, he's asking questions, you're thinking, oh, he's going to start shooting at his kids. So when he actually yells out, get down, everyone's all, huh? And then you see that what he's fighting is even scarier than him, a seemingly unassuming cop that is now actually a liquid metal nanomachine monster that can cut through things. That's when you go, oh shit. And what was once the unstoppable scary thing in the previous movie is now the very underbalanced underdog going up against an even dangerous foe. And people ate that up. Like, I mean, come on. The Terminator is one of the few guys to be on both AFI's best heroes and best villains list. And that is a good example of that trope done well, of where you take what was once the, threat is now on your side. That's, I mean, there's other attempts at trying to do that, sometimes with varying levels of success, but I think that's the go-to is the Terminator from T1 to T2. Like, you don't yep. undercut or neuter how scary the Terminator was in Part 1 by having this other model do the same things but for good. So it's not like the Terminator got out of the trash compactor and decided, you know what, you're all right, I'm going to help you. It's not like that. It's like, this is another one. So that allows the actions of the first one to still be, have its sting when you see the Terminator, like, murder Sarah's roommates and stuff. So I think people had that concern of, can you do that with the Predator franchise? Because...
hey, Ian.
Oh, hi, Aya. Nice of you to join us. So yeah, so we were just talking about how one of the most famous examples of taking something that was considered the enemy, antagonist, unstoppable force, and turning it into the protagonist you root for in the next one is Terminator. That's like the big one, which is funny because Arnold passed over being on Predator 2 for being in Terminator 2. So, but yeah, that's the benchmark. So, but like you said, now that question, while it might seem like a tough nut to crack, it does have some outliers that we can look to. he had the malevolence crushed out of him, but yeah, it did have some outliers to look to as maybe an imprint for a predator-led story. Because think about how many times have we heard in these movies with monsters and aliens where people say, this is cool, but I think it'd be cooler if we didn't focus on those pesky little ants running in the middle that we call humans.
How many times have you seen the Transformers movies again?
Yeah. So,
But to be fair, so this Badlands is technically not the first time we're having a predator be in kind of a well, I guess I would better to say the lesser two evils. Well, uh, we had Scar in the first AVP where he begrudgingly teamed up with Axe to make sure that the Xenos are completely wiped out so they don't infest the Earth when they get to the surface. And then, most especially, Wolf, of all things, thanks to Jonesy splicing and cutting up a much more faster, like, cutting out the fat trimming special cut that he did just for me
I
for Requiem.
know that whole vet
And
going
then
to the park.
yeah, the vet going to the park treatment say, "Hey, wait, the vet is that way. The park is that way. You taking me to the vet? No!" And it's not even getting into all of the various AVP video games either, especially the 2010 where it was kind of like a rite of passage.
I think the most
Uh,
famous instance of a predator. Well, hell, you had the Predator in Alien vs Predator, the arcade punching him up on Super Nintendo by Capcom. No, that wasn't Capcom. It was Acclaim. And then Capcom did the one on the arcades where you had two Predator allies assisting the big Arnold Schwarzenegger guy and the Chun Li stand-in, Lin Kurosawa. And then, of course, you had in Predator AVP 2 by Sierra, the Predator actually had a narrative. He had a rival in one of the survivors of a previous hunt named General Rykov, and he's like a boss fight for you in a power loader suit, which parallels what happens here. But thing is, and all the various comics, there's a lot of comics where the Predator is usually a territory character, but you start following its point of view and you kind of root for it. One of the most famous of it all being the Shande in Alien vs Predator comic with Michiko Noguchi, where you got this elder Predator, one of the best of his clan, ends up getting injured in a ship crash after the scientists got spooked and crashed a speeder bike right into the Predator ship, which made the young Predators get mad, kill a family, slaughter a dog, cause a stampede. When I describe it out loud like that, you're going, "This is the AVP comic people love." That you have a master who was knocked out by an explosion because a scientist crashed a speeder bike into the spaceship. But the point is, though, the Shande is famous because he was captured to be studied. Like, we found something. The younger predators started like killing, and he woke up and he got pissed off when he saw that Tishinde, the youngest upstart, had killed humans because they're not supposed to do that before they're officially blooded and hunt. They had broken the Yacha law. They had used their tech recklessly. So the Shande put them in their place. He kills the young one, and he starts aiding Noguchi and helping take out the Xeno threat that's going out there. And there's a famous part where she says, "I saw the other ones hunt, but this guy, he mastered every step. He knew every hit to like hit a Xenomorph without getting a drop of acid on them." And she realized this guy was a pro. So Deshande is a beloved predator. He even got a NECA figure recently, but that's a good early example of a predator in a comic that wasn't so far the menacing force, but can be seen as a force that was positive. Mm-hmm.
So, the way you described it, I guess you kind of did answer the big question of can a predator be a main lead for once?
Well, he wasn't quite the
Definitely did in the
lead.
comics, but we can definitely see if we could do one for the movies.
Yeah, so that is the big question, and who better to answer that question than the guy who successfully kickstarted the Predator franchise? Where I showed her this interview that was talking to Dan, and they mentioned how he had words with Shane Black, and even that Shane even came to me and said, "Listen, I fucked up the Predator franchise, but what you did, you actually breathed new life into it. You may have just saved this franchise." I thought Prey was incredible. So the fact that you had the guy from the last entry telling you, "Hey, I messed up, but you actually managed to screw it up," it probably made big swaps. Thankfully, Dan didn't let that go to his head of like, "Oh yeah, I say the Predator franchise." He just kept carrying forward, and he proved to be surprising with Killer of Killers and all that stuff. So he's 2 for 2, and They announced he was going to handle in the next movie to Predator that wasn't Prey 2, because people thought, oh, well, Prey did so well, maybe he's going to do Prey 2. And he decided, actually, I want to tell another story. Wait, what? And he actually did go to various iterations, because he did say it did start out as a full-blooded Prey 2, but then he's changed his mind. What if it was this? What if it was that? Because a thought germinated in his head. What if the Predator was our star, like actually the guy we were following, that we were rooting for? So he had to go through a couple of concepts, because he says, one, I didn't want to do a concept where it was a slasher movie, but the slasher ends up winning in the end, because that probably would leave a bad taste in the audience mouth of like, you got these people you're really rooting for. Oh, are they going to make it? Are they going to make it? And then, oh no, the Predator actually did win. But then you feel like, what? I think if that happened to you, Derica, to see this movie where they set it up like, oh, it's another Predator movie, but this time the Predator just successfully killed everyone, even the one that was resourceful. Would you would have kind of felt cheated if the Predator was still the villain?
Um, Maybe just a little bit.
Well, it would depend.
There's it's always a tricky balance to try to make a movie where you have humans that you've been having to follow for the most part end up losing. It's it's basically kind of what turns me off from like those Smile movies that have been hitting around, where basically not to bury the lead here, but the Smile movies I feel like are like complete turnoffs for me with the fact that once they get whatever's like the evil demon into their lives and they're being haunted by this thing, there's literally no chance for them to get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like to the point where you even wonder if they even like had a way out to begin with, or like are even in control of being able, or even have any semblance of having any free will to get out of it to begin with. It's just basically just evil's just kind of like plain its food. And
yeah,
the crux of like any good horror story is that you have to give a person a chance and hope to get out of it, because otherwise at that point it's just, what's the point?
well, yeah. I mean, I think an exception to that in recent memory would be like some of the Final Destination movies, because that's a inevitable force. But that's exclusive to that. It's not like,
Well, yeah, but even in Final Destination, there is a way out. There is still an out. You can still cheat. There is still ways to cheat the death entity. There's nothing to cheat out of the Smile thing,
yeah. Okay, so
like at all.
yeah, but yeah. So Dan is the guy saying,
Like,
"Hold my beer,"
yeah.
and he's thinking we got to make this guy the lead. And he says, I don't want to do one where the slasher wins, but he thought, well, what if we had him in like World War II and kicking some Nazi butt or something like that? Because I think this deal that either you make the resourceful heroes lose, or you make the Predator go after people you want to see get cut up, and then it kind of would have been like Inglorious Bastards meets Predator, which probably would have been cool. But a little slight tangent.
Just itsy tiny, itsy bitty, itsy teeny little caveat thing. Good.
Yeah. Okay. So we have this current thing for some reason, not to get too political, but there's this little thing where anytime Nazis get brought up and are seen as antagonistic or bad guys, there's a vocal contention of people saying they're the ones feeling that they're being targeted and villainized. I'm saying, are you a Nazi? Are you feeling that way? I mean, a recent controversy that's really nonsensical is the fact that Absolute Batman had a preview that featured him, beating the crap out of some supremacists and breaking one's arm rather graphically, and setting the whole thing on fire. And there's someone who posted, DC Comics wants you dead. And I'm just going, what do you mean by that? Because these guys were clearly shown to be bad guy Nazis doing white Nazi supremacist stuff. And then, yeah, and I'm saying like, okay, and other people said they had issue because this felt more like a Punisher scene. Okay, those guys I give credence to, but actually,
But we have to remember this is absolute Batman. Which, okay, if you don't know the whole idea, the absolute DC universe is basically a DC multiverse that's literally forged by Darkseid, aka literally the baddest of fucking badass villain DC characters.
and
A world literally forged by this guy. Of course, it's gonna have extremes going on.
as the villain support tech parody says, when the Predator mentioned he was in the Absolute Universe, he actually started laughing, saying, "Listen, just get out. There's literally nothing you can handle in this universe. Trust me. Even the humans will mess you up." But yeah,
just to insinuate how insane this universe is, their the absolute version of the Joker is literally like a dragon demon.
He looks like the Joker card that Ledger used to use that covered itself, but yeah. But so, point is, I mean, hell, an Indiana Jones game had DLC where he says an offhand comment to a cat fighting, Italian fascists in Italy, saying, "You don't care much for these fascists, do you?" And some gamers took to saying how they're making it about modern stuff, and I'm just going like, I don't know if it quacks like a duck and walks like a duck. So I'm saying, I bet you, as
It's World War II. World War II. How do we fucking not know what's going on in World War II, guys?
I blame the schools. History never got that far. But point is though, a
Oh no!
predator.
Don't blame the schools. How about blame the lack of schools at this point?
Yeah, okay. But I will say, I bet you, as dumb as the discourse we're hearing about it now, about a predator getting in touch with his feelings and actually emoting, being about him, I think we'd be hearing even stupider, brain scratching takes if it was about predators fighting Nazis. And as Ian did point out, there is a famous Predator comic called Demon's Gold, where the Nazis were trying to run away to South America, like that theory says, and they happened to run across a predator. So that's again, I think Dan thought that's one thing, but he kept saying he just kept trying further of how can we make the predator our lead. And one concept even had it be that okay, maybe Naru, seen at the end of Killer of Killers, spoiler for that post-credit scenes, could probably team up with a predator, but he kept saying, but then he started thinking, well, what if I didn't have Naru? What if it was the predator? So he kept jumping and circling back to, I want to have a predator as my main protagonist, not just the guy we're following, not just the marquee character, but he is the guy that we're going on a journey with. He's the, for lack of a stupid, he's the Luke Skywalker for us to follow, to attach ourselves to. That's what this predator protagonist he had in mind was going to be.
And you gotta give Dan credit. He's not gonna be. So when you're trying to make like follow-ups to the franchises where you've gotten successful with, of course the safest bet is to just kind of like keep to the status quo. Just keep doing what you do. Just do something that you like are gaining like high praise for, especially with the Prey. And he is like, yeah, no, I could, but where's the fun in that?
Oh yes, he's well, the guy was always a talent, even way back when he did 10 Cloverfield Lane. So I'm just saying, when he did Prey and Killer of Killers, and he made Killer of Killers while prepping for Badlands, so he just found ways to keep expecting the Predator lore. So,
So we can finally get to the. So ultimately, Dan settled on the premise of that we are following a young uninitiated Yautja, and yes, to Jonesy's detriment, they actually say it in the movie that this race is now called the Yautja.
I'm actually happy that they're called the Yacha. That's one of the few ones I was fine with. I know I was a stickler for the alien xenomorph thing that Gorman was just saying a strange form in a fancy way, but now it's officially xenomorph designation. Yautja was something I was always happy for, and I'll be honest, in recent years, with a lot of internet dramas, I'll listen to the background art drawing, and the word predator keep being thrown around when it comes to people chatting with people under certain ages and stuff, and using predator this and that. Using Yautja would probably feel like a better term. That way I don't feel like I'm talking about. So we have a predator here who's looking after this young guy. Oh wait, that came out wrong. So saying a Yautja feels more strong and firm. So I'm actually happy that they're calling him Yautja here. Although
Yeah.
the detriment I'm getting is you got people who hear the word and then they won't pronounce it right for the rest of the review. So we have the Yutja here. Yutja?
Yeah, so we are following basically the rental litter of a Yautja clan, who after quick scuffle with their father and sad sacrifice of his brother in arms, the Yautja known as Dek is sent off to one of the most dangerous planets to hunt, Genna, I believe, where the wildlife is literally out to kill anything and anybody that even looks at it the wrong way, all in a quest to find what is touted as the ultimate trophy, the
Unkillable.
Kalisk.
Unkillable
No,
Kalisk.
unkill, unkillable. It's something that even their father fears, and along the way he must uh, endure and have to team up with a Wailing Utani synthetic named Thea to hopefully track down the Kalisk and bring its trophy back to bring glory to him, bring glory to his clan, and hopefully make a name for himself. Of course, things are not always as easy as the hunt usually is.
So Ian has a funny interlude. He says, funny because earlier this year I showed my fan-made Alien vs. Predator vs. Terminator proof of concept to my Riders meetup group, and I was told by one Rider who's a fan like us not to call the... Okay, kind of cut off. Let me see.
Yeah, we're gonna have to wait because probably Predator's Yachter because only fans know that term.
Yeah, well now...
Wah, wah.
Although, I remember... we also said this in reviews. A lot of people in comments said, wow, I forgot that so much of Predator lore is comic and animated based. This is probably the first time the general audience has even heard the term Yachter. So people are like, what, you don't know they're called that? So, like, and this makes Derica go, oh, the animation disrespect is real because the Yautja was first actually shown on screen in an official Predator project in Killer of Killers was Yautja Codex, which, oh my god, this movie opens up at one of my
Well,
favorite...
to be fair, the name Yachter was also kind of seen officiated in the AVB 2010 game,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm pretty sure a lot of people probably forgot about that.
Well, I think they even forgot that game existed in general, which is sad because it's actually a pretty good Predator game. Like the AVP stuff is good.
That game is literally like my stepping stone into both franchises, honestly.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so Yautja, yeah. So oh crap, but yeah, the Yautja Codex opening, I was like already like I was locked in with Yautja are prey to none, Yautja are friend to none, they're predator to all. And I'm like, fuck yes, the minute that started. So,
But yeah, this is definitely a movie where Dan it's pretty much not holding back anymore. He's saying, "Okay, we're gonna explode the Yautja lore. Fine, right? Nothing's like up for debate. Nothing's gonna be like left up to uh guys in like, the Men in Black facade clothing, trying to give like member berry details and all that. No, we're literally giving it front and center to you how these Yautja function as civilization, or at least a society, at least.
mm-hmm. So yeah.
And right from the get go, they explained that the Yautja are very proud beings to the point where they see strength as the ultimate
Expression.
expression. Like any form of weakness by talent or birth has to be called out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
even
unfortunately, Tech is considered the run to the liver, despite the fact that when we first see him, he definitely seems like he could hold on his own. But of course, it is a lot of weight having to deal with like so much promises and expectations when you're seen a little bit shorter than most Yautja are known.
well, yeah, because basically,
And we literally have a whole playlist touting how big these fucking predators can get, and to know that this predator is almost kind of like average human size is, yeah, that definitely sticks out.
and everybody has to make it a point to comment to him. You're much smaller than the other ones I've seen. He gets getting heard from everybody how small he is compared to most other Yautja. Yeah, and that's another thing too. So we get the lore. We also learn that some other rituals include like they need to earn a successful hunt to even properly cloak, which makes sense because if you already have the cloak beginning your hunt, it's kind of like a easy mode. So having to prove that you know how to have a cloak is such a interesting tactic.
It's basically like the ultimate video game reward that you're gonna exploit when you like double back down and get that little pissant bug trainer that you decided to skip over back in Kanto.
And then I saw a comment say they were kind of remiss. I mean, they were like, "Oh my god, no!" That the fact that the cloak is revealed to be those little balls that pop out of the gauntlet, which we saw once before in Shane Black's The Predator. the orb that McKenna had came from the Gauntlet of the Fugitive. So seeing it again, people says, "You telling me that shit's still canon?" I'm like, they never said it wasn't canon. As much as people like to go all over the place with that one, but still. But yeah, we also learned about the weapons. We also learned that they have very amusing toys in their youth, and one very well done joke. In fact, that's another thing about this movie I'll say right now. The humor works in places where I'm sure some people were like aghast at hearing that there's funniness in my Predator movie when I say the one Predator movie where they barely had any jokes like at all was AVP Requiem.
Holy shit, you're right. Even the freaking Dark Louis Predators movie had some jokes.
Thanks to Stans and Edwin.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and I think The Predator suffered from an overdose of humor, especially from the loonies. But,
yeah. If you think like this movie is getting like infested with the MCU level humor, I wouldn't blame you for forgetting the Predator happened, but it happens, and this is pretty much like kind of like a sobering up comparison to that movie.
yeah, so, sorry, pardon me, got something going on here. Oh yeah, so what was I on it? Okay, so we mentioned that the Predator lore has been expounded upon in a much more, meaningful way than before. We also have all this on an alien planet. And even though animation can get away with the craziest shit, as we saw in Kill of Killers, Dan wanted to make the theatrical exploit live action. He's doing this one for real. They went to New Zealand, and thanks to good budgeting, they were able to make this $100 million film look like it cost more than that, which is a big accomplishment given how, one of the big talks about movies.
Just like toss a dartboard at like recent MCU movies, and you'll be like, wow, they made that movie with that much money. I mean, do they really need to?
Well, sometimes they lower them down. Like Thunderbolts was amazingly cheap, as was hell, even Fantastic Four, for as over the top effects that was reasonably budgeted compared to, well, your end games and your multiverses and madness and stuff like that. But I think all that was contracting. The point is, another example recently, Tron looks good. You could see the money on the screen, but when you're that expensive, you got to stick the landing and make sure you recoup some budget back. So as good as Tron looks, the fact that it was so expensive, even if it makes up a good amount of money, it'll be a while before it even gets money back for the amount spent in. And you gotta spend money.
I'm sure it'll get something back whenever it gets on streaming. That seems to be where everybody seems to be wanting to do these days. I will just wait for it to get streaming. And
yeah, but the fact that
the streaming revenue is kind of weird how they managed to get their money back that way, but it happens.
Yeah, Badlands is cheaper than Jurassic World Rebirth, and that one was only done for like around 160 too, which was impressive for that budget, given how good that one looks. So I'm just saying that if you know how to manage your money well, you can make something that's profitable. Hell, that's why horror movies are such a fun thing for people to go into, because you spend like $11 and a ham sandwich to get a cast together with a cool premise. If your director really knows how to utilize that budget in a way, when I think even if it opens up to like 100,000, you already made a hell of that's all gravy. That's why Blumhouse loves to do stuff cheap but throw it out there. And even if it has a big opening but drops to the number 10 in the next week, they usually make all their money in the first week. So if you know how to budget reasonably, like I think what Badlands has now with its budget versus its current out the gate strength, it's not a complete loss. Unlike like I said, Tron. I hate to keep picking on that one, but that's one of the biggest examples of something with a lot of money, but it didn't quite get the numbers it needed.
Yeah. And I know I kind of omitted it from our low notes here, but I think we should also bring up that apparently Dan decided, like, yeah, I'm not just gonna touch on the Predator lore. I'm also gonna touch on stuff from the Alien stuff, which I'm sure, as Sunshine, the moment you saw the Weyland Yutani logo in any of the trailers, you just like nearly jumped out of your seat, going, "Oh my god, is this like an AVP3?"
And then and Dan right away said, I saw a stupid headline. But it says, Dan Trachtenberg reveals aspects of Badlands that might infuriate alien fans by saying, yes, we do have Weyland Yutani, but we're not going to have the Xenomorph. He said flat as day. So I didn't go in expecting a Xenomorph anyway. The fact that they expanded on Weyland was nice. But hell, when I did a first run preview of how I was gonna do the promotion for this thing, I stuck in some lines from AVP, and she's all, "What's with all the crossover stuff here? Didn't we leave all the alien stuff up to Alien Earth?" And I said, "Did you see the trailer?" She's all, "No." And I showed her. She says, "I would have remembered seeing this trailer. You know, it was the one where where Tessa's being rebooted by the mother computer, and then it's the whole thing with Deck." Meeting her, and that's a sign of how Elle Fanning's humor was going to be. Like, I love this shot. I used it in our opening when it's from the point of view of Deck about to be eaten by a mutadon. I know it's some weird vulture, but it looks like the mutadon from Jurassic World Rebirth flying right at him, and Thea just flies right into him. You see some off-screen stabbing, and like a video game from Far Cry or whatever, you just see her go over the camera and smile at you, and I'm just thinking, sign me up, I'm in. Just because... she was so adorable.
AQX is so used to maybe said that there's no AVP in the works. Well, as far as you know, anyway.
Well, Dan.
And then again, anytime that Dan or Fade get asked that question, they always seem to have this smile on their face. It's like.
But yeah, they did say that that.
I'm sure shit that they're like really thinking hard on it. Is they're both already saving their franchises to put them together. They know they cannot fumble in any way at all.
Because remember, the last time we had an Alien vs. Predator film proper was nearly 20 years ago, and that was Requiem, which was considered the nadir of the franchise. So I guess they're okay. We're really getting ahead of ourselves with the what's next for the franchise with this connections. But you're right. Dan's deciding, well, I want to stick in the Weyland Yutani stuff here, but not to expect any Xenomorphs. That was like his big thing. He told us right away. So but still, the fact that we're seeing more, plus the benefit of using Weyland is they're known for one thing in particular: synthetics. So with a synthetic, as we all know, whenever they get messed up, they don't get the red gush or even black oil. No, they have that nice milky white fluid, which you can make any analogy you want for in November. But the point is, since they're not people, as we all know, the main rule about PG-13, hey, as long as it ain't red,
it can be dead as long as it ain't red.
And oh my gosh, right now I'll tell you, the violence level does. You get purple blood, you get orange blood, green blood, synthetic fluid everywhere, and And Dan said he didn't change none of his sensibilities from how he directed the kills from killers, or prey. He said he still had that same mindset, but the fact that it was a synth let him say, okay, I can go a little more crazier and not piss off the ratings board.
And it's amazing how much you can get away with PG-13 movies. I'm thinking the last time I remember a PG-13 movie having something so gory and so much blood, or at least like insinuation of blood, was Rampage of all things. But then again, these are like giant mutated monsters that were like going aggro on each other and like spilling their guts at some time.
But the humans got messed up too. That whole scene with General Flag, Deathstroke, Flash, that Montango guy, leading that commando unit against Ralph, they were getting torn limb from limb. And where were you? My friend leaned to me and said, "What rating is this again?" Well, it's PG-13.
PG-13.
But yeah, you saw a guy get split in half, and you saw like his legs and everything. There was even a small little black spurt, but because it was kind of out of focus where it happened, you're like, oh. But yeah, yeah. So
it makes me laugh that when people heard the Predator movies getting PG-13. Oh, boo! They like Disney-fied it finally. They went down on it. It's like I would say it's funny that they were able to show more kills in a PG-13 Predator Badlands movie than they could ever get away with in fucking Predator 2, which was R-rated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and hell, like I said, they had to cut away from a lot of the violence in Predator 2 to even stop the NC-17 from happening on them. So yeah, but yeah, now before we get into things, there's another thing too. There was a lot riding against this movie. You had the fact that this was the first time Dan was taking the Predator franchise back to the screens, big screens, after being okay on streaming.
Hulu.
Yeah, you got the fact that Elle Fanning was always written to be the lead. They said in all reports. So you hear about another woman leading a Disney-led franchise, making a certain type of bad actors start to, sharpen their fangs and get ready to write so many articles and stuff like that. And then you got the fact that the design of Deck, in order to make it more emotive, they had to use a practical suit but give the face more opening range. Basically, the actor's own face with motion capture dots was used, and they digitized the Predator face over him, which does look good in the final result on that. But there you got the fact that his design, his look. I mean, you had people even saying they assumed this was a black transgender Yas Queen gay predator just from the first frame of him roaring. Like actual words I saw typed out. So there was a lot going against this. It's a PG-13 and an R-rated franchise. As we all said in the past, every time we get one of those, you get your Live Free or Die Hards or your Salvations and Genocide, where people go, this is hard.
Okay, okay. Aside from Genesis, the ones you listed are actually better than their forced R counterparts.
Requiem, A Good Day to Die Hard,
Dark Fate. Technically, I mean, we both still love Dark Fate, but even we kind of meant like they could have handled that a little bit better, not piss off so many people. But we like what the story was going for.
Although the only thing that made a Dark Fate more R-rated was the fact that they said fuck up a few more times. But the violence level, even from a guy like the Rev 9 cutting through guys.
Well, also the fact that they also killed a kid. So
I'm saying rating wise, I don't really see anything more harder in Dark Fate than what was in Genesis. But yeah, I guess hell, it's not like the other Terminator movies were noticeably violent. Like I think the most violent scene in the entire series, there's two. When the TX punches through that detective to drive the car with a gory arm, and anytime the T-1000, every time the T-1000 stuck its knife through someone's like eye socket, and you can see like you're like, ooh yeah, that really poked him bad.
Well, also the police precinct shoot up. That one that got a little over the top at times.
Yeah, but you didn't see like a cop's head blow up Scanner style, but yeah. Anyway, like I said though, you got people worried about PG-13. I remember I sent you the articles, people going, PG-13 in my Predator film. Well, it's already dead already. I said,
I did kind of get my head tilted a little bit. It's like, well, that's weird. How are they gonna do PG? And then I remember there's like trailers like seeing like all those humans, but it turns out all of them are synths.
Yeah.
So
that was a get out of jail free card. Oh yeah. So
I guess we could get started on the cast and. Not it. You have fun trying to pronounce this name.
All right, so we have our great Predator, Deck of the Outjaw, portrayed by Demetrius Schuster Colamontangi, who, he was a stuntman and the like, who finally got. I think Dan said he wanted someone that could actually like act. So, like he actually went through the trouble of learning the Outjaw language and all the like. So, but this fella, let's see if
that's always a tricky thing. To get an actor to force them to learn language just for the role. If you don't do it right, it'll be a complete waste of an actor.
Yeah, so there he is.
Thor: Dark World ruining Christopher Eccleston. Nice, pretty handsome fella.
Yeah, he's he's of Samoan Tongan heritage. Oh, sorry. Go on.
But yeah, Eccleston got completely wasted in Thor: Dark World by being forced to speak in a dark elf language when literally he could have just like been talking and letting Christopher actually act his fucking heart out like he usually does when he gets roles.
Well, on top of that,
but no, he had to actually force himself to learn. Like, okay, so I should pronounce like this and like that and do.
Well, here's the thing.
Like,
okay, is this guy good? Or every time I say "here's the thing," Ben Grimm comes in my head. Sorry. So, he had a lot of scenes filmed, and what pissed him off was a lot of those scenes were cut out so we can have more Loki scenes, because Loki was such a big hit in Avengers that they actually reshot. So Chris is thinking, What the fuck? Like, I give you the performance. You make me speak a nonsense language. I have all these backstories and I have depth to my character. And you tell me those scenes are not even going to make it in because the Tom Hiddleston that has to do his shtick. Like, I'd be pissed too. Because a lot of his scenes were cut.
So, yeah, so I'm starting to see why you decided to go back to working with Doctor Who again.
Yikes! Given how pissed off he was at Russell T Davies, that's that's something. But yeah. Anyway, Demetrius does have an impossible task in doing the physicality of the predator, but also, really making him, underpowered. Someone to root for. And he didn't have to just be a human with a predator face. Because one big complaint people say, this is not a predator movie. This is a human with a predator face, and we don't need that empathy and all that stuff. But there's a lot of that saying that I think he does enough to still portray what we know traditional Yautja to be like, but just done in this new flavor of him being, much smaller, more. He's not as powerful or massive as his brethren, so he kind of has to compensate with just sheer guts.
And not only that, but also right from the get go, not only is his ship crash, but like most of his tech that he gets, like a bow and arrow, laser kind of guidance, uh, a la- a laser sword essentially, and a bunch of grenades and such, uh, kind of gets offsided very quickly because he kind of underestimated how dangerous this planet is. Like from the get go, he's literally attacked by uh, green wildlife. It's basically I'm just looking around and thinking like, well, shit, is he like hunting fucking poison ivy or something? But yeah, he mostly loses most of his equities to the point where he meets the synthetic, where she eventually learns like, oh, technically I could still win a hunt with using tools, and this synthetic is stated as being a tool of sorts. So technically, I would still be fulfilling my hunting like rights. But not only that, but he has to be able to compensate for his lack of strength, lack of largeness, as it were, and eventually learns to be like much like an actual hunter should do, which is to learn your surroundings, learn the ins and outs, learn what's deadly to you, but also what can actually help you uh, in his terms. It all comes down eventually to the end where he ultimately gets suited up in a big climactic way by essentially uh, using the resources of the planet Genna to his abilities, which is pretty much that alone is pretty much exactly how Deck is able to stand out as a protagonist, even as a Yautja predator, in that he's using the same mindset and tactics as most of the humans that are able to overpower their predator foes. Like thinking Dutch and Harrigan, Royce, like even Alex. They basically use the tools they were able to learn as they were going through all of these different hunts they were being undergoing, and usually basically what they had in hand, what was like within reach, what they could essentially abuse and use against their pursuers, and it essentially is feels exactly like a proper Predator movie by the end. So, despite what a lot of people were going to expect to think that this movie was going to be like the black sheep of the Predator franchise for some reason, despite literally fucking AVPR is a thing. Badlands and Dan were able to take essentially this being the Predator Yautja and put them into essentially the same shoes, the same hurdles, the same difficulties uh, the humans have in the other movies, where essentially they're in very dangerous terrain, like starting to excuse me, uh, lose their footing, lose their uh, tech, what they are able to accomplish using their own weapons and their own know-how, and essentially having to adapt to the threat that is increasingly growing to extreme levels that they weren't prepared for. And I think they were able to pull it off exceptionally well with Demetrius playing Deck. And I think another big strength is they don't have Deck talk too much, and whenever he talks, it feels like it's like to say something important or say like a very, very apropos thing to point out. It essentially he doesn't like spew catchphrases or anything. He basically whenever Deck talks, there's actually like something to take a hold of, something to pay attention to. Like this is something that's going to be important to his overarching story, and give props to Demetrius on pulling that off, and especially the scriptwriters for deciding to kind of limit themselves where they can, but also make sure to give him moments of levity where he kind of like unintentionally cracks jokes at the expense of his partner Thea and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's all I got to say on Deck.
One thing I like about his new Predator face, as controversial as it was, is that you really do see that it is the closest we've ever gotten to recreating that one design that where the mandibles of the Predator fully close. Because one thing that everyone has had an issue with that they haven't been able to crack for whatever reason. Oh
yeah, they always keep making them wide-eyed open.
Yeah, because in AVP they're kind of like this. You can see the little pearly whites and piranha teeth. And Predator, that lower jaw was always like this, especially when the Berserkers opened up their mask. And the Predator, they're close to looking almost exactly like the original. With the Fugitive Predator, I thought, oh, he looks just like it. But again, he has his mandibles over here. When we saw the original, it would like go more inward. So Dex and his brother and his father are like some of the first Yautja in years where their mask actually, their mandibles properly close and emote. And like one of my favorite examples of this is after his initial crash in the opening, this isn't really a spoiler, he gets tumbled out and he lands on the ground and he's feeling so many emotions all in 1 second, because I think that crash hurt like a mother. 2, he just saw his brother right before him, like ultimate sacrifice. 3, he has to now prove himself. He has so many going on. He does this little breathing thing. He's breathing against the dirt and he punches the ground in frustration. I go like, that is, again, Demetrius really, really putting it into Deck.
Mm-hmm. Well, I feel like I kind of did my say of talking about Deck enough.
But yeah,
I'm sure you'll be able to. I'm sure you'll be able to hear the playback of it afterwards. But...
Yeah, my mistake. I was AFK for a bit. But one thing that I gotta say though, he is actually kind of. I think my sister found him kind of adorable. He had like those little puppy dog eyes at times.
Puppy dog, she says, and I go like, the dude looks like he's bug-eyed.
Yeah, but like one example perfectly in the opening when Quay decides to like surprise him by locking him in the ship while Father's having in. He's like, "What are you doing?" He's all trying to like hit against the door and everything like that, and you see the desperation in there. And I'm sure some people are like, "Why the heck is this Predator emoting like a girly man?" But yeah, hold on.
Give them props that they were able to give these two a proper build up a moment to actually buy into the brothership and all that.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah. So like I said, I think all the stuff that's all testament to Demetrius is acting as the Yautja here.
So I guess we could move on to.
Oh, good. I'm ready to talk about this person.
So we're gonna talk about the tool that Deck it unfortunately, or rather fortunately, decides to take on to his hunt the Weyland-Yutani synthetic Thea, played by Elle Fanning.
Oh my gosh. And yes, she is the sister of Dakota Fanning, the much more famous bigger sister.
I know, Mother.
I forget where.
Tell me why we
I know I've seen Elle Fanning in somewhere else. Like
Because our enemy
just
still
kind of
lives.
Good.
fleeting in my mind a little bit.
Okay.
50 Shades of Grey.
You are ready now.
Yeah, no, I'm not kidding. That was.
Oh, Maleficent! That's where I was thinking of her. She's Aurora.
Oh no! It's Dakota Johnson. That's Madam Web's actress. That was in 50 Shades. But yeah, Carrie Kiss of Benjamin Button, Daddy Daycare, and Super 8. I remember her in that. And yeah, Maleficent. That's where she really got a big start. Was Maleficent. That's where she got so.
Oh yeah, she was also Wilbur's original owner in the live-action Charlotte's Web movie, which apparently now there's another one coming out. It's like, nope, no thanks. I am not sitting there and seeing the poor Spire die. No, thank you. I'm out.
Yeah, but yeah, like I said, she is the younger sister of Dakota Fanning, who we know from Man of Fire, and War of the Worlds fame and all
War
that
of the
stuff.
Worlds.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what was the thing I was saying over that? Yeah, she is just adorable in this role as a synthetic that's programmed to be a little more in touch with her feelings, a little more to be like to better exploit and use the resources of the land.
Empathetic.
Yeah, and oh my gosh, in fact, she's the one that thank heaven for her. Because we only saw the word Yautja and we kind of heard it from the Yautja mouths, but when we actually say, you, Yautja, I'm like, she's the one that said it. So anytime someone says the wrong way, I'm just going to direct them to Elle Fanning saying it, to say, that's how you fucking say Yautja.
And not only that, but she has to have this pleasant personality in her, despite the fact that for most of the movie she's without her legs.
Oh yes. As she puts it, she was with the research party that ended up comprising entirely of synths, because I'm sure even Weyland-Yutani saw how dangerous the planet was and says, if we send any one person to this planet, they're going to probably demand a hell of a share or hazard pay, and fuck that, we're not paying hazard pay, let's just send the synths. In fact, when we were watching...
Now, if this planet had black goo, that would be a completely different story.
Mm-hmm. But if you remember when we saw Alien Earth and we saw Prodigy send in their Wonder Kids, the hybrids, and we actually had the question of, wait, how come Weyland doesn't send full-on synths to recover these things?
Playing in the background. I don't. What does it sound like, Ian?
Wait, are you hearing something?
Little boy.
I don't know. Ian says what's playing in the background.
Probably got the Killer of Killers playing somewhere. Yeah, is it hearable on here? Because it shouldn't be.
Not here on your end.
Huh. It's probably coming from my headphones because I have something. Oh, yeah, my tablet's on. Sorry, my bad. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, synthetics. How come they don't send a full contingent of synthetics to deal with these planets and stuff? Because, we always send. They always seem stupid for sending in full on bio in there, and then you see they end up getting chopped into meat anyway. Whereas synthetics, yeah, they'll get chopped up, but if you still have their head core, you can recover whatever data it is of what killed them.
Exactly. So, where is it in timeline-wise? Because I heard that this is supposed to be like before Resurrection.
Yeah, probably post Alien 3 if that's the case. So let me just do a double check. Predator, Badlands,
Okay.
Alien.
By the way, Ian says he doesn't hear it anymore, so I guess we managed to fix whatever it is.
It's after Alien 3, technology-wise, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because I say so because Thea, one of her neat tricks with her legs is the fact that they can still be remotely operated. Because when she's going to the site where she lost contact with her sister unit, she said that oh look, there I am, when she sees that her legs are still kicking, and literally they're still kicking. So the tech has evolved way past poor Lance Henriksen getting ripped in two, and the legs are just there to be found as an Easter egg in Alien Colonial Marines, where a guy goes, "Hey, look, what is that? Is that a pair of legs?" And I go, and did they actually put Bishop's leg in the right spot where it should have been on the Sulaco?
Which makes you tilt your head, consider the fact that if that was the case, shouldn't they have just been sucked out into the vacuum of space, given that huge ass door that was blowing everyone, including a human kid, and like the top half over to them?
Yeah.
God, that fucking game made no goddamn sense.
Yeah. So, the point is, the fact that friggin' Thea's legs are able to be, operated, and I guess the repair tech is much more advanced, because she was seen just applying this type of foam to re-mend her legs and her top half back together during an intense fight with the Kalisk. And her specialty is in biology, and she's able to understand creature behavior and stuff. So when she sees like him trying to go on hunt, he warns him like, "This is a place where these giant things can eat you, the lunar moths. So be careful." And Deck always keeps thinking, "Tool talks too much. Tool this, Tool that." When she's trying to keep him from getting his ass killed by something bigger that could eat him.
Yeah. So, on the side, I've been kind of like darting to for if Badlands is finally gonna dethrone Prey as my all-time favorite predator thing in this franchise. And the one caveat I always keep going with Badlands is like, the one thing that just throws me off is that Elle Fanning cannot shut the fuck up when she doesn't need to. And then again, I remember thinking of how much the French fur hunters didn't shut up when back in Prey. But give that one some facts. At least their blathering just ended up getting themselves killed. So.
But yeah, but it was so funny to see her talk about how she was up in the Vulture, and she explains how those things that cause you to be paralyzed. The venom works fast, so she gives you information. But I didn't think her chatting was overkill that much. In fact, it was quite endearing to me. But you're going. I bet you think
she had something to say almost like every 15 seconds. I think she was. I'm gonna say she was like very redlining close to freaking Bubsy levels of not like stopping to talk.
Yeah, so, but I think you'd prefer her being a curious android asking about this and that versus the loonies having another Tourette's joke and a joke about Baxley's mom every other 5 seconds.
I'll stick with the then.
Exactly. But but she's what brings a lot of the humor, because she points out how I need a hand, and Deck's like looking at her lower half, and he goes, "What happened to your legs?" Even he was wondering. And the situational humor works with him. Like, there's a part where he puts her on the gurney to get her legs back, and he says, "Easier to walk." And he says, "Oh yeah, it will be in a minute." No, easier for me to walk, not having to carry her on his back. Oh, going back to Deck, there's one moment I love that his face emoting works so well, and it's a simple but comical moment when he sees like this little caterpillar on top of a leaf he was using to heal his wounds, and he thinks nothing of it. He's starting to get a little like big and swell, like it's something punctured in it, and he decided to just toss the poor worm aside.
I think he was also starting to get a little bit hot too, so
yes,
he just decided to toss it.
And then the thing made a big boom, and even he made a face of like, "God damn!" He made a face like, "Damn!" That's what I love, that you could tell in his expression.
Good to know.
In fact, he uses that to great advantage in his later hunt. But I loved how he said that he was again, just simple motion. I'm sure they could have made the same effect with a physical mask and everything like that. But the fact that they're able to emote Demetrius's actual expression really does let it, come through. Like, huh. But yeah, but Thea, she's the one that gives nickname. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so I was gonna bring up that Thea ultimately, despite that she is trying to bring up a conversation with Deck, who of course is just like backpacking her, literally to the point where he gets some vines to wrap her around, so he's not carrying her like a briefcase handle.
If anything,
or like pig riding.
yeah. In fact, when this movie was being filmed in New Zealand, the nickname for this movie, codename, was Backpack. That's that was the clapperboard name for the movie, Backpack.
But whenever she's not doing that, she's also kind of like being introspective and kind of like giving context to what her ultimate goal and why she ended up the way she is and what she ultimately is looking for. She knows that the Deck is looking for the callus because she's leading him to it, but she also is looking for Tessa, who is also played by her. We'll get to her, but she essentially has this attachment to Tessa to the point where Deck realizes, like, what you're describing is kinship, like a brother or a sister.
Oh, and she thought that's a sweet sentiment. And also, it is Thea who understands Deck's plight and gives him something, understanding why their brother sacrificed. She's the one that says, on my planet, we have a predator called a wolf, and they hunt in packs, and they are led by one called an alpha. And I know you got the people in the back saying, the alpha theory has already been disproven by the guy who made it and everything, but I think it only happens in captivity. I think that's the revision to it. But they said that Deck hears about the alpha predator of the pack and goes, oh, so this must be the one that kills, right? It has a lot of kills in it. She goes, actually, the alpha isn't the wolf that kills the most. It is the one that can best protect its pack.
Ultimately, Deck said is that I will be the alpha that kills. Of course, Thea just leaves it at that, and ultimately gives him more of a build up and hope to get to his ultimate trophy. But then, of course, he has to drop the ball and say, like, hey, thanks for getting me my legs. By the way, you need to get the hell out of here before my company shows up, because they are definitely going to be finding me, and they're going to get you, and you definitely don't want to be here and be their little lab tool. We already had a movie that sucked balls the last time that happened.
Yes. And, oh my gosh, Thea was just, like it says, she does have a little bit of a duplicitous side, like most synthetics do, where she's trying to, like, she admitted, I needed you to get me over here so I can at least get my legs back, so I can at least get back to her. And Deck takes that to betrayal, saying, no. I used the tool. Your tool doesn't use me. And he decides to go out there and try to kill the cask. But everyone has told him repeatedly, this thing cannot die. You're going up against something that'll just make mincemeat out of you.
We definitely see it. We definitely see, like, you can, like, skin it, you could decapitate it, doesn't matter, it's still good. Callus is basically Deadpool, only if he didn't shut up.
Yeah, so we got her at, but the thing is, she does come around to understanding Deck, and she gets touched even when she's sent to be decommissioned, and Deck comes back for him, and she's all like, wow, you came back for me. And oh my god, that wolf moment. And she also has a great action scene that at first starts out funny, where the legs from the site end up walking all the way back to the camp, and even the guards are like, huh? And usually something help kill them, but what's funny is you see the legs like bump them apart, and she really sells that well. I'm sure in any other movie this could be considered ridiculously absurd and almost stupid, but
it's it's so dumb to bring it up, but seeing those legs move about on their own made me think of that one moment in that directed video Disney movie Inspector Gadget 2 or G2, the female
Oh my goodness!
the female cyborg being literally like is able to split herself in half to get away from a ninja like nose diving towards her, and while her top half is like swinging off the chain, the bottom half is literally just like tap his toes and then just going into complete like cartwheel kicks to stop the other guys. And to be fair, that moment only took like what 45 seconds,
But yeah,
as opposed to this moment,
Where
which
it's the
this one at
pull
least
off that-
applies it more better.
yeah. Like I said though, also I gotta say though, if those are actually Elle Fanning's actual legs, and well, she's got a nice shape to them. Not as now if that was Bryce Dallas Howard's legs, oh my gosh, that dump truck would just go through all
Oh boy, down.
Okay, so but on the note of her, while she does spend half the movie as a half self, she also has a dual role where she's playing Tessa, the other sister unit, the same unit that was deployed with her, that actually made it back to the Weyland-Yutani facility and interacted with Mother, saying how the mission was nearly a success, but they sought to capture life form XX051, which I'm like, oh, so that's the Kalis designation. And
Yeah, unfortunately Tessa has to disengage her protocols that Thea talked up, like how she and Tessa had the session. She had to really downplay it because Mother is like basically saying like, okay, you've been kind of like a big failure. I'm sure your other half is dead at this point due to having the same weakness. So if you fail me at this rate, you're gonna probably end up just like her,
in fact,
decommissioned.
you could argue that Mother is to Tessa and Thea what the father predator, the alpha predator, was to Deck and
Apex
Quay.
Predator, actually.
Yeah, the apex predator and was to Quay. I think where they both say the same thing. Failure results in your death. So you got her wanting the same goal as Deck, bring this thing home, but. And so it's funny how they kind of are mirrors of each other. And the funny thing is, she plays Tessa with more of an accent. And they also redid her eyebrows to be more frosted tips, almost like she has none. And she has her scars repaired, but she does look a little more.
She does have like one of her eyes is still glitched out, probably unable to correct that.
Another mirror to Deck, because one of the original concepts for Deck was that he was blind in one eye, which is why he had such interesting depth perception, because of that little Yacha prank, I'm guessing, when he mentioned, I can't believe you repaired that. These are like, I almost lost an eye from that. So I guess having Thea and Tessa have that injury is a counterpoint to Deck. In fact, Deck going back to save Thea is probably him wanting to do what he couldn't do saving Quay way back on Yacha Prime. So, that's another layer right there.
Yeah, Tessa definitely has the very scary synthetic vibe going on, and it's really impressive for Elle Fanning to pretty much like do a double role. It's not an unusual thing to see actors playing two different roles simultaneously. Like, name any twin movie you can think of, Parents Trap, like Sinners, like they can be able to play characters look like each other, but also have like their own quirks, their own wants and needs. It's even rare for sometimes an actor to play both the good guy and the bad guy. Mike Myers. First thing that pops up to my mind. I didn't think about that.
Anything?
This-
Anything? Look, Andrew, make it look like a bloody accident. Sorry, I had to.
Definitely thinking about the way it shows, like, Thea's still holding on to her positive attitude. Like, it's so sad to think. She's probably holding on to it just so she's hoping to show that, despite losing her legs, like, she's holding on to that just to the moment when she sees Tessa show. like nothing's changed. But then of course when she sees Tessa, Tessa's the one that had changed a lot, and that really kind of hurts Thea a little bit. That their programming is basically like immutable. It's basically moot point. Like all the work that they've done in having their empathetic settings and able to understand alien biologies, alien like wants, needs, habitats, instincts, and all that. It basically like next to not important in the grand scheme of things to Mother or to Weyland Yutani.
Exactly, and she's almost a Disney princess kinda, with the way she interacts with the animals, and she tells Deck, "You catch more with flies with honey. Don't want no flies," as he puts it. But yeah, so yeah, and you're right. She becomes Ice Queen, Cold Bitch. That's or as you put her, you call her the Wicked Bitch of the West, as you put in your notes.
Sorry, I might be having build up to Wicked for Good coming up.
But yeah, like I said,
I'm so excited for that.
and she kind of almost goes full Terminator mode, like almost Robert Patrick as the T-1000 is kind of how he does the performance. Like the part when she's analyzing Quay's ship and finding the object tech and everything like that, reminded me of that deleted scene of the T-1000 just feeling around in John's room. And when she gets locked in at the end of the movie, going full villain mode and being the final boss, she locks in. We're going like she's telling them go hunt and everything. It's very funny when Thea attempts to go to the Kalis after successfully capturing it. She's trying to refree it, and she is disguised in the raincoat and tells the other synthetic in Thea's voice, in Tessa's voice, what are you doing here? Go find a thing. But didn't you tell us not to? That's what I said. Go to. She was trying to play up as being her sister, and they didn't quite pan out. She's like, oh, what the hell? To quote Han, as I always keep quoting, boring conversation anyway.
Organization anyway.
But again, the fact that she did both roles, and they're kind of counterpoints to the relationship of Deck and Quay, I think it does work for the thesis of the movie. And God, when she gets, messed up at the very end and is kind of very inhuman looking, it is rather satisfying to see Deck put that glass shard through her synthetic voice box.
Yep.
Okay, and then we should probably refer to Ruben. Oh wait, go on.
Speaking of sadistic sons of bitches, let's talk about the Nihor, or the Apex Predator, or pretty much just father, played by Ruben Jong.
Yes, and he is old school, brutal, merciless predator. Where when he comes to the bike, he even tells
Literally old school, right down to the. Turns out they modeled his face after the original Predator, I believe, like right down to the ridges and the
just much
eyebrow
more
hairs
aged.
and all that.
Much more aged, and he's kind of like a mixture of that Predator with the Elder Predator at the end of AVP. Although that one was thousands of years old, so that one had way more wrinkles and shit. But he, yes, he's the one that told Quay that.
He said it's funny because Dan did say that Prey was in his mind an R-rated Disney princess movie, which
that tracks.
packed in for.
Well, yeah, think about it. She
No.
has the dog sidekick, animal friend. She has to prove herself. Only thing missing is her singing a song about how she has to go and prove herself.
Pretty sure she would have, but she then fell out of a tree from that bobcat.
But yeah, you're right. So, like I said though, yeah, he's aura farming the Predator. That's basically what he is, because he's got this big old armor with shoulder blades. He's got this beautiful cape, white dreads, this horned mask. My sister's favorite thing about this movie, she says, when that figure comes out for that guy, you better get it, because it was like her absolute favorite Predator design. Is the father.
You know that his dreads are all pure white, as if like the actually can age.
You know what he looks like though with that horned helmet? The Horned King from Black Cauldron.
I was about to bring that up. I just felt like, would people even know what I'm talking about? But
Fun fact.
yeah, it's literally just exactly what this, especially the type of environment that you see him in. It's like
The
completely
Wastelands.
dead, like wasteland. It definitely looks like something that you would see the Horned King appearing in.
And fun fact, the Horned King was voiced by John Hurt, the first ever on-screen victim of the Xenomorph. Kane. But yeah, like I said though, this guy, like I said, he's meant to be. He's what when Tessa and Thea kept saying, I thought the Yacha always called her weak. He's the one that believes in saying he should have been killed a long time ago. Basically telling his brother, you know, if you're willing to be merciful, you could have just killed him in his sleep. Like how he basically he probably rode all the way to that part saying, okay, he's gonna do the job out. Then he looks at himself alive and saying, what the hell is this? You told me you were gonna take care of him. And
of course, just Quay being played by Mike Homick, is essentially also he doesn't want his brother to meet such an unhonorable death. Death in his sleep has got to be like the biggest insult you can ever do to a Yautja. Essentially, knowing this culture, I would think it's basically the same deal with the Vikings. Like, the best course of, death for, these hunters should be, in the midst of their battles. On their 2 feet. When they're having a chance against their own prey.
And yeah.
So to rob that for his own brother would be kind of like a disservice, even though his father would say it's kindness to match kindness.
Yeah. And when he's... Okay, so we should talk about Quay. Quay is the most big brother of anything I've seen from a non-human. Like, I have a big brother. I know the vibe he gives me. I'm a big brother to my sister. She said she got the same vibe. So, anybody with siblings will right away click with how Deck and Quay are in the beginning. And the thing is, Quay is... Yeah, he was fighting his brother, but he wasn't really fighting to kill him. He was more fighting to teach him a lesson and stuff like that. It's like telling him, you're fighting too angry. He said, no, I'm fighting like father. Well, you're not father, and boom, yeah. So,
Oh man, the way he said that, thinking about it's like, no, you're definitely not like father, and for God's sakes, I hope you don't.
Yeah, and what's great is even though he kicks his ass in combat, tries to drop him with the cave and everything like that, but Deck takes off the cape and everything like that. They're over there having a moment where they're on the ship, and they're picking planets to possibly go for his first hunt.
And Deck points out, you actually saved this toy?
And he goes, well, yeah, you saved my life. He's like, I almost lost an eye next to this thing. Turns out the Yautja toy, when it was found by one of the synths, and he told Thea to translate, he's like, tell him that it's a map. She has a map to try to find the rest of their homeworld. And he goes well, how do I find it? Well, look inside it. The guy's head turns into jelly on the wall. And she's asking, that's a toy? Well, for Yautja kids...
Yautja children.
They must have tough skulls or something. But, yeah.
Gotta have fast reflexes, I guess.
Yeah, and like I said, he's the one that insists to father. He deserves his chance at a hunt. And when he's looking for his hunt, by the way, yes, it was confirmed when he was scanning through all the possible candidates. One of them looked like a native with a bowstring that was meant to represent Neru.
By the way, another big reference is if you look at Quay's armor, or what his skin is made of. So, it looks like Quay managed, one of his hunts, he managed to get one of the aliens from the Independence Day movies.
The Harvester, yes.
And as soon as I saw that and it said converted, it went how fucking big is this universe? Okay, so not only do we have aliens, not only do we have predators, but now we have the fucking harvesters from Independence Day?
Although I'm pretty sure...
I mean, at this point, why not just I mean, at this point, why not just say that this is a far-flung future where the fucking apes from the Planet of the Apes happens?
Also, it is said though that I'm pretty sure in this universe then that the Battle of 1996 didn't happen, because if it did, then they sure repaired LA fast enough for drug lords to take over, because that was 1997, and the Independence Day invasion happened in 1996, and it did blow the shit out of Los Angeles if you remember. But I'm gonna guess in the far-flung corners of the universe, the harvesters are there, and the predators like ran into them and thought, well, they're worthy prey, because I'm sure the little guys not so much, but their biosuits and the shit they fight with, the predators are thinking, I gotta get to the soft inside of that.
But yeah, unfortunately, Quay decides ultimately because like the father essentially like gives Deck I'm trying to think off the top of my head what to describe it. It's basically you know the tech from Guardians of the Galaxy where it's kind of like laser locks you down to the ground.
Yeah. In fact, if anything, it kind of reminded me. He wanted to do summary execution right there by having him gagged and out, and Kawhi's all like, "Be strong, brother," and he's thinking, "Okay, he's really going to cut my head off." And he's trying to roar in defiance, but instead the blade cuts the laser shield, and Dad's thinking, "Oh, what the hell?" And he starts getting into a fight with. By the way, Predators have plasma swords now. Those things are badass.
It got the nice crescent shape too.
So unfortunately,
Yeah, Quay gets overpowered by his cheap ass father showing off with his cloak.
and then he, like says, he tells his brother his last words, "Bring it home." But he even before that, he even told his dad, "Well, your son here intends to hunt the Kalisk." He's like, "Impossible. Nothing can kill the Kalisk." And even when he told him, "I want to do the Kalisk,"
He even laughs at that. It's like,
This-
no, yeah, sure. And I'm going to be the president of Izerjan.
Yeah. So it was the fact that later when Jack does have his return, Deck returns, and he's thinking, "Oh, here you go again. You haven't learned your lesson." He's just kicking his ass to the point where he does manage to defeat his father in combat, and he finally points out, maybe the right son did survive after all. Like, oof.
Oh, that, not only insulting him, but now insulting his brother after his death. That's a fucking low.
Yep. So we should probably talk about the other member of this whole little family clan, the surprising cast member, the ones that people probably are either annoyed with or go, "Okay, I jive with it." That would be Bud, our little simian friend we find during a hunt with the little glass shard, razor glass place in the Buffaloes, portrayed by Rona Hall Nayarhan. I'm probably mocapping. So you get this little creature that at first you think, okay, well, this thing's probably just a monkey to be a pain in the ass for a Deck. But then we start learning more about it, and it seems to actually kind of grow an attachment. In fact, it kind of seems almost inspired by how badass his actions were, like cutting on a tree to get to the Luna moth and cutting it down.
To the point where he starts mimicking Deck.
In fact, it's
Deck's
very much
actions.
it's very much like that scene from Jaws where Rhodey's
Oh
going
yeah,
through it.
see, yeah.
And here's the thing, a lot of people, like reviewers, say that scene reminded him a lot like an Arnold Schwarzenegger gag, where you got him looking all tough, and you got this little smaller thing trying to do the same exact motions, and he's like trying to but you can't, like he throws off the sword like you don't got one of these, pulls out a fire stick, and he's thinking, oh, it felt very Arnold coded. Like I'm sure if Conan had a young war, that's probably what it would probably look like.
Yeah.
And also the thing spat on him to the point where he was gonna say, "Why you little?" And even Thea saying, "Oh, look at that! She's included you as part of her family."
Which the biggest spoiler we're gonna talk about here. We feel like you kind of spoiled all you already, but at this point, like if you're sticking here, well, that's on you. So, Deck does in fact come across the Kalisk, and as he pointed out, it is very, very hard to kill to the point where he's kind of overpowered. He's literally at its death's throat, like wrapped in its big tail, about to be eaten. And then it stops, as if it senses something on it.
Yeah, and it turns out.
And as soon as that beast was sniffing Deck, it literally clicked in my head. It's like, Oh, oh, this is like so. I guess cows are kind of essentially Pokemon, because that would mean that Bud is its offspring.
Yep. And the thing is and Ian is saying she's called Bud because she's a baby, like the bud of a flower bud. And I'm going, that's clever if that's actually what they were going for. So many layers. And people are calling this a dumb, slop movie. Like, it's more deeper than you're giving it credit for, guys. So, yeah.
It makes sense given the fact that Bud was able to go through like that glass shard feel like it was nothing. And I thought, okay, maybe it just had like a tougher heart. It's like, oh, that's only the tip of the iceberg that she could do. She can literally be a freaking menace.
She can make your skin rock hard in the mouth of the Luna moth.
Of course, she can still also be. She's still like a child enough to be a threat and be eaten by plant life in this movie.
But yeah, and hell, Thea is even hurt that when Deck tries to leave, he's like, you're gonna leave Bud? So, one thing I gave away, I started looking at the Kalisk's fight during the big epic fight you see in all the trailers where Deck is fighting the Kalisk. And I'm looking at the face going, it's kind of monkey-like, simian almost, like Kongish kind of. And the felineness of it, and I realized, oh shit, and once it got on Deck and sniffed him, I realized, oh shit! And I realized, oh my god, she's just a little version of that big thing.
Yeah, so ultimately Deck's hunt has decided to be, at the last minute, turned from being an actual hunt to helping this creature be bonded with its mother. Because at this point we've already kind of established that this whole movie has family ties. So of course, like, Deck's gonna do something that he's never been given a chance to, and that's to get a little runt reunited with its family, its clan proper.
On top of that, the Kalisk, when you see that it sees Deck as one of its own, it doesn't like try to kill him as bad. And you have this almost Fantastic Beast style moment where after supposedly killing the big bad and eating it, there's a small soft moment where he's like nose to nose with it, and it's almost quite beautiful. So of course tragedy has to strike at that exact minute.
We'll be able to leave the rest of what happens up to you. We will also bring up to mention that Mother is voiced by Allison Wright.
And she does?
Which is funny. Is this the first time that Mother has been given a voice in a movie?
It was Helen Horton in Alien 1. The one that was all... The option to remove self-detonation expires in 5 minutes. That was Helen Horton. So that was the first ever official voice for Mother. But,
So it's been a while since we heard Mother talk, essentially. So that's why we had to get a new actress.
Well, most of the time it's just been... all that stuff, yeah. But yeah, so, and then, by the way, it's funny that we'll spoil this. That it's funny that the Kalisk child is what ends up undoing his father, given that Quay mentioned that the Kalisk was one of the few creatures even he didn't dare fuck with. So I know people probably felt robbed of Deck doing a fatal, fatality kill on.
Well, he tried. He literally tried, but as we pointed out, this thing will just shake it up for me like, I can keep doing this. It's like, oh, that's step 1. What about 2 through 10?
Yeah. So I'm sure people thinking like, well, the one time he did kill something in epic fashion was when he killed that mammoth running right at him, and he used his blade as a stopper to like just split the thing in two while being bathed in its blood. Which that was the most thrilling hunt. What part did you like? I like the part where I cleaved it in two and its blood splashed on my face. She's like, well, that's a choice. Well, yeah.
To be fair, that's always the satisfying thing wherever I'm hunting things in video games. So.
Yeah. So,
Ask me how I feel every time I bring down a fucking Thunderjaw in the Horizon games.
Mm-hmm. Alright, and the music, Wow, goodness gracious me! We have returning veterans to the franchise. Sarah Schachner, who did it in Prey and in parts of no, she was Assassin's Creed
Curse.
Valhalla. And Killer of Killers, Benjamin Wallfish, who did the whole score for Killer of Killers. And they both shared responsibilities, but one genius thing they did was they actually incorporated Yautja chants into the soundtrack to really give it that tribal feel.
Right down to the 20th century logo end.
And they said that even before that, in the trailer leading up to to Badlands, the Space Mongolians is like wolf chant that was used in all the advertising for this movie. So even though that wasn't their music ultimately used, it still had that same flavor.
Mm-hmm. And it's just every time I was able to hear the music, I just felt very, very excited, bombastic. This might be the first time I actually say like, okay, so is there like a soundtrack for this part of the movie?
Yes.
Like a soundtrack CD?
Yes.
Oh, I would definitely hunt that one down.
I'm surprised you didn't feel that way about the Prey soundtrack. But maybe you would if they released both of them together.
I thought the Prey soundtrack was pretty good. Not something that I'm just salivating to listen in my car on my way to work to and fro.
Then again, nearly all
I think Prey was just kind of more like a ambiotic type of soundtrack where it's like it's a good mood, but you had to need like something to watch with it.
Yeah, but all the Predator soundtracks
Whereas Badlands
have
is
been
like if I literally listen to Badlands soundtrack by itself, like it's that alone is already a good enough time.
But yeah, my favorite soundtrack of the entire franchise is probably Predator 2's. But I like Predators.
There's no surprise there.
Well, I mean, that's the one with the most tribal drums in it. I mean, that famous song that plays when every predator is coming out of the mist has been burned into my brain. It's one of my favorite tracks. But there's also AVPR has a good soundtrack. The Predator had a decent soundtrack. That's one of the few things it did okay was the soundtrack. But I mean, when you reuse Alan Silvestri, how can you fuck up? Actually, that's the thing I'm amazed about this one. It did little to no callback to Silvestri's film because this is a whole story all about Deck.
I was expecting to hear the usual tones, but I guess they say like no. I feel like if you use that, that's only going to be for the humans, like dealing with the predators as a threat.
I mean, yeah, when like the famous ba-da-ba-ba-da-dum, ba-da-ba-ba-da-dum, that seems to be mostly associated with the humans dealing with the predator. Hell, given that Arnold Stinger in Killer of Killers used that ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba, that's probably, I think in Dan's mind, that's for the humans. That's their song.
Yeah.
So, and you can't have the bum bum bum, the very menacing tones for Deck because he's meant to be our protege. So we have to give a whole new flavor that makes you want to root for him. Although I probably wouldn't object to using the classic, menacing predator horns for like the father or anything. But
especially would have been fitting considering that his costume makeup is literally modeled after the original.
But I'm glad they didn't go there. In fact, they didn't do too much line callbacks or even visual callbacks. Maybe a few small subtle cues, like Deck crafting together the backpack is very similar to Dutch trying to, make the arrow. But
I think the entire point, like as I said earlier, back when Deck was kind of essentially filling the role of like how humans have to use the resources they have at hand rather than what they came into the mission with.
Oh, one of the most badass things.
That was alone was like this definitely feels like a Predator movie now, considering that the main protagonist is like using the tools of the trade, what's on hand, the resources, something that they're able to adapt and survive with.
I love that he turned that little acid lizard snake into a organic plasma caster. Poor thing died in front of him too. Damn. But So, but yeah, the music I thought hit the wells pretty well, and then we got 343. Trachtenberg has proven he knows his franchise, and you got people trying to call him Hachtenberg or Kraftenberg, thinking it doesn't align with their point of view. But for the most part, everybody is saying this is the shot in the arm
So
the
I
franchise
just
needed.
if I ever see this, I could reply like, so which would you rather prefer? Would you rather keep going with Trachtenberg, or do you want Shane Black to take back at it?
Nah, come on. Black was bad, but I don't think he deserved to be skinned for it.
He,
Got-
he even admits it.
Yes, I know. Yeah. So, yeah, Dan has done so much to try to bring the Predator lore to the forefront, and someone says this: you can know he loves his franchises. Anytime the Predators are presented, they're done with awe and reverence, even the bad ones. Like, even though his father is an ass and antagonistic, they still shoot him in a way that you're thinking, this is a badass. Same thing too with the brother Quay. He's more noble than his father. I mean, the way he shows the Predators, the way they use their language, the way they talk, it's done always with the scent of he loves the franchise, but he's also shaking it up a bit. He's not saying, look how stupid the Predator looks. Look how silly the Predator's tactics are. He doesn't mock the Predator. He's embracing it.
And not only that, but I feel like, oh shoot, I was gonna have a point, but I just kind of lost my train of thought.
You're having-
Oh yeah, I remember like in some of the Discord servers I'm in, I've seen like one person literally like use a gif of Vegeta bowing before Beerus, in response to to my comment about like, wow, Dan Trachtenberg is like 3 for 3 on making good Predator movies. And they responded with that gif of like Vegeta bowing in reverence, saying like Dan Trachtenberg is on fire.
And like I
And
said,
they even also quoted like, if they did an AVP 3, I would die in heaven.
yeah. But yeah, the he has proven himself that he is a droid, and everyone trying to attack, saying that he wussified the Predator, he Disneyfied it, he's still treating it with the same sensibilities he would have under Fox anyway. It's just that he has the Disney bucks to back it up. And people are pointing this out as a much needed win after a summer of barely making the marks to not making the marks. Like, I mean, Tron, I don't mean to kick a man when he's down, but that's like the most recent thing of tomato in the face for the big house.
Yeah. And not only that, but it's also the fact that it's, come on, like this movie is pretty much getting a bigger budget. I mean, bigger box office than. Sad as it is to say, it turns out that the highest that the Predator franchise has ever gotten in box office is AVP Requiem.
And,
Of all fucking movies.
the original Predator, AVP, was more than Requiem. Requiem made less, actually.
Oh, the first AVP.
My point is, it's been
But-
20 years that no other Predator movie, not even Shane Black's Predator, not even Predators, which was considered a return to form, none of that was ever able to catch the mark of AVP, which probably had a little boost from the fact that it was an anticipated Alien franchise. Because according to this, the first Predator grossed a 12 million opening, overall lifetime of 59. Predator 2 opened less to 8 million, and overall lifetime of 30.
Yeah, to be fair, if you like go from Arnold Schwarzenegger to Glover, of course you're gonna get less bucks.
Predators was the opened up at 24, capped out at 52. But AVP opened up at 38 and capped at 80. So that's, given that, remember, Paul makes his movies low budget, so that was a good return for them. So AVP was very profitable for them. Requiem opened up to 10, lifetime of 41. So, and Badlands had just exceeded that on its first run, so it's in good company. Because I mean, I know we're used to hearing super big ass numbers with Star Wars, with Marvel and DC, like those numbers being up in the stratosphere. But for a movie, for how much this one cost, it's doing well. Now, some people are still going to say, yeah, but it's still a lot less than what it cost to make. Well, if it has legs and good word of mouth can keep it going, it can make that. Then it'll deal with gravy and such. So,
I'm with you 100%, Ian.
oh my god! But okay. I did tell her that there was one complaint that was nagging at my brain the entire time. She thought, "Are you gonna talk about the title font?" I'm like, no, the fact that this feels like a action adventure Predator game I've always wanted, but I can't play it with a controller. I'm like, Disney, Fox, Studios. Where is my open world third person level up Predator RPG game where you play a low level Youngblood, Yautja, you're going from planet to planet, making contract kills, getting better gear as you're killing to go up to the ultimate, prey you want.
Like, hunting grounds can only satiate us for so much, guys.
Right. And I don't want this to be a first-person Predator game as much as I love those. This has to be Frontiers of Pandora, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, God of War, Ghost of Yotei style third-person, so you can get to see yourself do awesome Predator kills. Like the last solo.
You can still do that, but still have the first-person view happen. They could still. They could probably do it like how Halo does it, where it's like you're able to like function in first person, but like any of the action stunt kills you can actually see from third person.
All right. So overall, though, I really did love this movie. Seeing it because as I've been seeing a lot of surprised faces, stuff saying this is actually good. Angry Joe says all he needed to in his review. It's what I have always wanted from a Predator movie. Like, you know how they do those accolades of like it's the best exhilarating adventure. If they had to use YouTube critics, that would be Joe's quote. What I've always wanted out of a Predator film. I'm just saying, like the fact that so many people that had already written it off of like
Jeremy Johns was. It's surprised to hear from you that you like gave it a good time. I think I heard Grace Randolph gave it.
She's in love with it. She was in love with it. In fact,
So it definitely goes to show that we're we're different circles, but everyone is starting to come to the same conclusions. Like, I like this one. Another, please.
and on top of that, the usual critics, the usual suspects that are trying to like bring it down because of that W word and this, that, and that, they're grasping at straws. Yeah, they got the one that they're preaching to the choir, and those ones got those idiots to lap it up. Like they're saying, how do we go from a meat-eating steak badass in '87 to this soy boy, prissy, touch with his feelings, queer-coded predator? And I'm laughing, going like, did you guys even watch the movie? Yeah, so you got the usual people making the waves, but this is like the third movie in a row where their narrative didn't quite stick.
Like even people that don't usually talk about Predator, like Star Wars Explained, like loved it so much. So you just say I had to make a video talking about how. I think Ian said like he was hoping that Dan could probably do like a Star Wars movie.
They said that
I just gonna sit there and go like, okay, but he needs to make his own bounty hunter species, and also like, actually, you know what? Oh my god. Okay, what's the name of the black Wookiee? The
Chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum. Black Chrysanthemum.
Yes, him. Chrysanthemum. I want Dan to make a movie focusing on Chrysanthemum.
Oh shit, that would be amazing.
Okay, let's ground ourselves back. So basically what we're getting at is like different strokes, different folks. Everyone's given the same consensus, like it's a good Predator movie, which that alone is always like a good, refreshing thing to hear, given how rocky this franchise is. And we've like literally discussed like all the different aspects of it.
But yeah, and here's the thing too. Like I said, though, you got if you saw this one, you thought it was too funny for me, or I've been a fan since Arnie's days. Just is not it, Chief. Perfectly fair. You saw it, you gave it a chance. It didn't work. It's what I always said with the last two. But if you're someone who's going off of, well, I heard it from a guy. It was actually like, they made him in touch with his feelings. He was super, like, there was one that says the forced feminization of a franchise proved that this guy was taught to take a guide from a lady's help to go find this thing and choose his friends over his family. And I'm going, you make it sound like a bad thing. So the fact that those haven't been quite catching on shows you that Dan made something that was worth it. Now there's going to people 6 months from now saying Badlands is actually bad now. Like, okay, they're welcome to make that essay, but I think as it stands right now, people wanted a good time at the theater, and most people got it. The few that didn't, it's fine if you didn't. You'd even explain why you thought, it just didn't work for me. But if you want to keep the whole, I saw, how the hell did we get to? There was a Predator comment, and it was talking about how him killing the father was very, leftist, radical, Democrat, Muslim coded. And I said, sir, this is a Wendy's. Like, how did we get from that? We're talking about a fucking Predator movie. You decided to throw in that outside stuff. I'm like, okay.
Buzzwords. I'm literally throwing buzzwords just to try to prove a point.
Exactly, the buzzword salad. Oh, and also, on social media, making me laugh. This guy who's in the Godzilla fandom made a joke saying how, a comment saying, okay, now we're power scaling Predators, a new fandom low, which I'm laughing, going how. If you've been a Godzilla fan for a long time, you're into power scalers like crazy about how MonsterVerse version's actually weaker than this version, or Shin is not as strong as that. It's actually quite funny at times. But now I'm seeing a Predator. Like, someone saw Deck. Deck's probably one of the best that has ever done it. And someone says, I can name 2 more Predators, and they show the City Hunter and Jungle Hunter. And one had to reply, one got crushed by a tree, and the other one was being chased by a human. And someone said, I can't believe people have to glaze this new shit by saying how the old ones were actually lame and stupid. And I had to go, my man, the entire franchise is about how these guys consider themselves to be the most badass toxic masculinity killers ever. They get so high on their own supply that they leave themselves open. And they're never out-muscled or outgunned unless they're the ultimate predator that gets killed by McKenna's 9mm. But they have to be outwitted. They have to be... The environment kills them, other factors kill them, or they go down swinging because a nuke went off. Like, the series has never been about how, look how the strength has brought them glory. It's how these guys are so high on their own supply of being the best killers that they leave themselves open, and that usually leads to their downfall. Predator being killed by a falling log. City Hunter leaving himself open for the disc to cut him open. Mr. Black ignoring the sniper and ending up getting a shot, and it leaves Royce an opening that hit him up. So point is, you guys got what you finally wanted. We have a movie where the Predator actually survives and wins. Because the main thesis Thea says is that when he says Yacha hunt alone, she says, Yacha also die alone too. I can help you.
and that she pretty much summarizes most of the Predator fates in one sentence there.
With the exception of Scar, he kind of died in the presence of Lex, trying to be heroic. So, I guess he was. Are you guys gonna say that Scar was a soy boy too back then, for at least trying to be nice to the black lady? Oh God, if AVP 2004 came out in today's current climate, oh gosh, I'd be doing the Picard double face.
I don't want to think about it. Don't bring. I like AVP. And I don't want to imagine how much it would. And to be fair, it's already gotten slaughtered by just the hardcore fan base, missing out that they lost the Colonial Marine aspect of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but anyway, so but the fact is though, I was pleasantly surprised by stuff in this movie. It caught me off guard. I mean, there's some shots that are straight out of a Conan the Barbarian, cover, like the scene of Deck inviting challenge to the Callus by lighting a gasoline tank on fire and putting his sword in the air while basically saying, "Come and get me." It's like I said, Dan breathed life into this movie. he brought something new without being too callbacky or nostalgic, but you're still feeling that same flavor. Anybody saying that it's a human with a predator face and it's not worth my time, well, you're just saying you don't want anything new from this franchise. But every time we try repeating what came before, we have to. Do we have to quote the Far Cry 3 guy? Do you know the definition of insanity? It's doing the same fucking thing.
I guess I'll give. I guess I'll give my overall thoughts.
Sorry. Yeah. Go ahead.
So, I feel like after we've been talking about this throughout the entire thing, I think I finally feel very confident to say that Predator Badlands is my all-time favorite of the Predator franchise. Namely, the fact that Dan was able to take something that originally was started off as like an antagonistic force, like a being that's so monstrous that was like using humans as like game for its like ultimate seeking of the most dangerous game, and saying, okay, now let's take that being and put it in its own most dangerous game, essentially on the fucking most dangerous planet in the galaxy as far as we can tell, and give it its own character arc, give its own like wants and needs, add more lore to it in one movie than I can ever count in any. I feel like I've like built it up a little bit too much, but I feel like this is like the ultimate way to add more lore to a movie, as opposed to how they did it in the Predators.
Okay, I'm laughing because I think there's this movie coming out on Paramount that has nothing. It's more about, I guess, a different type of, but it's called Predators, and my ass is just going, wait, Brody a movie? No. Anyway, but you're right. I think someone did say this movie's actually quite beginner friendly. Like, if this was your first ever baby's first Predator movie, they'd probably be fans, like, big time. Like, I'm sure if 5-year-old me saw this movie, I'd be like, Predators are awesome. Okay, so...
Exactly. It takes a lot to try to... in a long-going franchise with so many follow-ups and sequels, to make a most recent entry be entry-level friendly, that takes a lot of work to do.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I love Prey and how they were able to kind of like let it simmer, let the atmosphere, the ambiance help tell the story and all that. Let's say I really love that. Again, it was kind of still following the original Predator formula to its own strength and sometimes its detriment at times. Whereas Badlands, it decided to like take everything. It looked through the entirety of the Predator franchise, like took bits where it felt like it was like strongest and was able to discard the rest and say, okay, you got the good bits. Now let's add even more original bits to it.
All right. So now let's talk about the overall thoughts on the franchise as a whole. Where is it at its highest, and what parts never to do again?
Okay, so right out of the gate, don't fucking do AVPR in the Predator.
Right. And
At least don't do the dark version of AVPR. At least if you're gonna do it, do like how Jones did it, and try out the fact to do the wolf hunt.
So, what were those weaknesses? Well, basically, cardboard characters or annoying characters types, outdated humor, all kinds of stuff like that, and a boring Predator. Like the ultimate Predator is boring. The Fugitives more interesting.
And for God's sakes, stop doing the member berries.
Yes. All right. Keep going with your thoughts real
Like,
quick.
like the way you did the member berries in the Predator is like so annoying, and also it kind of pisses me off to know that like Alex got like her staff taken from her after literally earning it in AVP. And, like, so unless you gave her like $5 billion for it, I would never. Like, if I hadn't managed to earn that type of Xenomorph spear, I would never part with it unless you gave me like a ass ton of money for it, which I have high doubts that those guys did. They probably stole it from her. and not only that, but it also cast in like relatives of actors that were in prior entries, like the Gary Busey's relative. And it's like there's a way to kind of like do nostalgia in a way that kind of is like cheeky and wholesome, like with Star Wars and Force Awakens, and then where nostalgia is like uses like, oh, let's just do it for just nostalgia's sake. Like in God, I can't even think of the top of my head. It'd probably be the worst excuse I could think of to do something like that. I guess I don't know. It's pretty bad when I can't think of like a worst example aside from the Predator. But yeah, don't do that. Don't do AVP art where like, you're basically like making the movie just outright gory and like over the top just for the sake of like meeting expectations for a fan base and all that. And the fact that we were able to have more connection with the Predator than we did with the humans, that's also it turns out to work better with the Badlands of all things. Okay, so then we have like the talk about the initial the Hunt movies. Essentially, you had the original OG Predator, you had Predator 2, and Predators, which kind of functions the same way. There's only slight differences, like with obviously with Arnie and his troop. In the first one, you have Danny Glover in LA with Bill Paxton. The second one, and then Adrian Brody and his crew in Predators on Alien Planet. That one. Okay, so Josie's kind of back. Hey Josie, I was just talking about like the middle ground. They call it the Hunt movies. Essentially, it's OG Predator, Predator 2, and Predators.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's basically just the most dangerous game, just done like modern day, of course.
Right. So then, but the highs, you always think the strongest strength is whenever the Predators are a formidable force, but also the human cast is someone like the cast in Killer of Killers.
Huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like
able to see like different eras, but they have their own different strengths, and ultimately, no matter what timeline it is, it could be like Viking, it could be in the Comanche, 1700s, you could be World War II, or even in the 80s. Like, the Predators are always going to be the most formidable foes that humanity will ever tango with.
well, you gotta admit though, oh crap! On that, I had something funny to say in response to that, of the Predator tangling and everything like that. Shit, I probably forgot. It was a funny train of thought too, right? But yeah, I guess we can all agree that the franchise has seen its high and lows, but it's managed to endure. It's one tough son of a bitch. I guess you could argue it's quite a badass.
Yeah, it's no surprise that the way I describe it, I feel like all Dan Trachtenbergs are pretty much the best that the franchise usually gets. Whether it's like handling the movie in a way where like if you remove the Predator out of Prey, it would already be an already awesome movie. Like probably the level of like Revenant with like Leonardo DiCaprio.
So would you be worried?
Or, like having an awesome animated anthology / like focal point finale movie like Killer Killers.
Mm-hmm. So would you be worried if another Predator project was announced without Dan?
I'm pretty sure Dan would probably still have like executive producer chair, and he would give like his thoughts and whatnots. And if that's the case, as long as he has his name somewhere at some point in the project, I'll feel a little bit safe.
Some people are saying he's kind of like becoming the Dave Filoni of Predator, and whether that's good or bad depends on their point of view.
Take that as a good thing, because Dave Filoni has done like really kick-ass things in Star Wars. Like, okay, get your feelings however you want with the later Mandalorian seasons or Ahsoka, but you can't deny when you hit hard with the Clone Wars, Bad Batch, and Rebels, they hit hard,
So you say that
and they have
Dan
never left your feelings.
and Dan has that with Prey, Killer Killers, and now Badlands.
Exactly.
So what do you hope to see going forward beyond Hunting Party?
Obviously, new Alien vs. Predator movie where we finally have the Colonial Marines involved.
I think we kind of have a great change toward that. Now, I just want to see just more from Dan to see what else crazy stuff comes out of it. Anthology, live action, maybe a TV show, who knows, but we'll see.
We have heard this rumors of Arnold finally talking with Dan Trachtenberg.
After 40
The-
fucking years.
It only took this. I feel like if there's one thing that will probably stop the Hackenberg stuff, is if they're hearing Arnold Schwarzenegger saying, like, after all this time, he's finally going to be saying, like, you know what, I would actually want to come back to the Predator franchise. And they will all stop dead in their tracks and go like, Team Dad, yeah, it's always been supporters since, 2022 with Prey and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
Go.
We'll see.
Woo!
We'll see. Anyway, so yeah, I guess we said all we could about.
I actually also kind of want to see like a mini series of sorts on Disney Plus or Hulu with
Oh.
Predator. I'm sure there's a way that they can do that. Probably that would probably be the best way that they can follow up on Predators. I feel like that having Predators have their own like the game reserve planet to have more potential for stories at that.
Maybe get Robert back in the fold. Yeah. All right. So I guess we said all we can about this. We want to thank you all for joining us for this long excursion to the Predator franchise, where we once again learn if it bleeds, we can kill it, but we're not quite done with the year. So why don't you go ahead and tell us something you've been dying to tell everybody about? Trust us, guys. It's a scream.
So the next time we talk, assume not counting all the any future movies we might discuss down the line if we feel like it.
Chainsaw Man? Sorry.
Say I don't know, like. But essentially, our next big planned series that we want to just tackle on is both matching not only the big anniversary milestone with this franchise, but also we're going to do another lead up to another. I think it's another 7th entry in the franchise.
Wow, this is number 7. You're right.
So basically, we are going to be following build up of Legacy to Wordsboro and beyond. The girl that's haunted by it all, and of course the powerhouse of the late 90s. So come back next time we do Scream Team.
Ooh, I love that. You were scratching your head for the perfect title for this whole thing.
It was really like right in front of my face.
Alrighty then. So this is Northcat Team 89, aka Chris, signing off. My usual co-host Derica, aka Dark Neon. You have
Remember, you're a prey to no one.
Alright, catch you all later.
Bye.